Hi everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Spellbinders, and we are going to create a 5x7 card featuring their large die and 3D embossing folder of the month for September. So these are the dies that come in the large die collection, and it is called Picture Perfect Autumn. There's so much that you can do with this. They give you the dies for the hill scenes. They give you a die for a farm or a barn. They give you trees and the leaves and a fence and even a floral, which is a large sunflower, which is great, and a few pumpkins. So lots of ways you can break it up, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today. So featuring the sunflowers and the pumpkins, and of course the leaves, we're going to create a frame. And I'm also pulling in the 3D embossing folder, and that is called Pumpkin Patch. The image on this is absolutely beautiful. I'm just falling in love again with embossing folders. They are a great way to create a background. They are a great way to add texture without too much bulk for your card. And there's so many different ways that you can enhance the image itself. I've chosen to use a purple because of the yellow sunflowers that we're going to do. And I'm coming in with the original ink blender and some white pigment ink, so that it'll lighten the image, but also enhance the design so that you can really see them. Now this panel is cut to about 4 by 6. I'm going to place this down. I'm going to use my ATG gun to get this down into the center of the 5 by 7, and our sunflowers and pumpkins are going to become the frame. So I'm going to lay all of these out. I wasn't quite sure how many I would need, so as always, I always over die cut. And any extra pieces are saved for a future card. We're going to just put glue into the center, and we're going to place the center of the sunflower, of course, at that point. Once we have these done, we'll focus in on the pumpkins. As you can see, I chose a bright yellow. Now, you could certainly add ink to your sunflowers, a little bit of brown or a darker yellow, to give them dimension as well. I didn't choose to do that. I wanted, with the texture of the 3D embossing folder and even the texture from the die cuts, I wanted that to really be the star. What's great with the center of the sunflowers is it really goes to the edge. You could also layer those sunflowers also, which will give you different layers within the sunflower. So layering dies are just very, in my opinion, very unforgiving. You can have a lot of fun with them and create your own image in no time. When it comes to the pumpkins, you have this strip, so I chose to die cut that with green because it basically is the tops of the pumpkins. And then I chose 3 shades of orange, and I'm just layering those up onto that as well. You put the 2 small ones down on the left and the right, and then you finally come in with the larger one in the center. So in no time, you have 3 pumpkins all set together. I'm using the sentiment that comes with the large die, and that says many thanks. So I die cut that out of the same yellow, and I grabbed a piece of purple mirror cardstock from my stash, and I'm going to use that as a background to the sentiment. Now we are ready, everything is layered, and we are going to create our frame. So the frame is going to consist of course, the sunflowers and also the pumpkins. Pumpkins are going to be just a little bit of a bridge. You do not have to add double-sided foam tape to the backs of your images. I love dimension. Absolutely love it. So the more dimension, the happier I am. But because there is so much texture from the embossing folder and the die cutting, it's really not necessary, and it'll keep your card relatively flat. I'm going to be removing the release papers and getting the sunflowers set into place. Setting them in different ways. So turning them, putting some on an angle, putting some straight on, just to give it that extra interest. What's perfect is 3 sunflowers leaves this perfect opening where the pumpkins can sit in to cover the edge of the purple panel that we have embossed. I'm coming down, so when I put a sunflower down, I do that as well on the opposite side. So in a way, kind of keeping it even, but making sure that the pumpkins are not set in the exact same spot. So you can see the top and the bottom, they technically are, but when you flip them over and have the mirror, one's sitting on the left and one is sitting on the right. And we're going to set the last pumpkin in place. So very bold, bright colors, very autumn. Now we're going to set the leaves in place. Now, they have little tiny stems on them. For the most part, I am going to cut them off. And I did choose 2 different shades of green for the leaves, again, to add that interest. By simply changing your color of your cardstock can add a sense of dimension as well. So I chose those 2 greens. So putting a dark green every once in a while, putting a light green every once in a while, just to add that mix of color in behind those flowers. And so I'll just continue to fill that in. You can see I have a couple sunflowers that are left, so they will go in my die cut container and will be used on another card. I do have a container that's just filled with all of my extra die cuts or embossed panels, anything that's like that. And when I get into a funk, that's what I call it, a funk, where it's like, okay, no, not really in the mood to craft, but I want to craft, but I don't know what I want to craft. I'll usually pull this out and just have fun pulling those items and mix and matching them and putting them together. And that kind of gives me ideas for other cards, other projects, finishing up other projects that I've started. Lots of UFOs. Absolutely. UFOs are not just for quilting and cross stitch. They are for paper products too. Absolutely. So now that we have our panel all together, and I really like that. I like that the 5x7 card base, the ivory, is popping through as well. And I did trim around the edge just for those little bits that were hanging off. I took the sentiment and I've popped that up onto some double-sided foam tape on top of the purple mirror cardstock, and I just cut around it, created a rectangle, and I'm just going to add a little bit of vintage photo that's left on my blending tool to help that sentiment stand out. I want the frame to be the star and the background. And there is our card. As always, I hope you enjoyed this. I will link below to all of the Spellbinders clubs that are available every month, and also to the gallery so that you can get even more inspiration. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'd love for you to subscribe, and make sure you hit that thumbs up, and make sure you ring the bell so that you know when the next video is ready for you to watch. Enjoy the process. And enjoy the art that you create. And know that it is art. I will never stop telling you all that. But most of all, always, remember, be creative in everything that you do every day. And until the next video, take care and be safe.